What could possibly bring Diddy, a titan of the music industry, to his knees in the middle of a packed courtroom? Right after 50 Cent took the witness stand, the room froze, eyes locked on the man once thought to be untouchable. Tension rippled through the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. No one spoke, no one dared. And there stood 50 Cent, once a friend, then a rival, now possibly the key to unlocking a vault of secrets that had stayed buried for over 2 decades. Stories never told, deals done in the dark, parties whispered about but never confirmed. The kind of secrets powerful people spend fortunes to keep hidden. And now, it was all on the brink of unraveling. A sharp scrape of a chair broke the silence. Shaky breaths followed. Then the room erupted. Flashes, shouting, movement. Diddy, once the face of success, now slumped over, motionless, like he'd been struck down by the truth itself. Everyone had the same question racing through their heads. What did 50 know? Was this the moment that would rip the curtain wide open on an era soaked in power, fear, and carefully concealed corruption? As 50 approached the stand, the tension only thickened. The judge raised an eyebrow. Diddy turned to his legal team, whispering urgently. Color drained from his face. His hands, once full of swagger, now trembled. 50 took his seat, not even glancing at Diddy, eyes locked forward, jaw set, calm but holding back years of truth. "I'm here to tell the truth," he said, voice low but steady. The judge nodded. And just like that, the courtroom stepped across a line it could never come back from. What 50 had to say wasn't hearsay. This wasn't clickbait or recycled gossip. It was a vault of evidence, carefully collected over 10 years, that had finally come due. And now, the moment had arrived. Diddy's attorney shot up, objecting, claimed 50 Cent wasn't a valid witness, said his claims were irrelevant. But the prosecution fired back. A new lead had tied Diddy directly to acts of coercion, extortion, and much more. After a tense pause, the judge delivered the ruling. Objection overruled. Mr. Jackson may proceed. The room fell eerily quiet. Even the hum of the AC sounded louder than usual. Reporters leaned in, scribbling. Diddy's family looked stunned. 50 leaned closer to the mic and locked eyes with the jury. "This isn't speculation," he said. "I have recordings from 2003 through 2016. Kept them all this time." Gasps shot through the crowd. Diddy's lawyer stood again, but Diddy himself placed a shaking hand on his arm, like he already knew what was coming. The prosecution laid out a laptop and several hard drives. "These were verified by 3 independent analysts," he said. "Unedited, authentic." Cent took a breath. "I built my career, built brands, created TV, but none of that could bury what I saw, or who I saw behind it." Then, his gaze landed directly on Diddy. "It was you." He began recounting his first visit to one of Diddy's infamous Hamptons parties. At the time, it felt like a dream invitation, but something didn't feel right. Security everywhere, phones confiscated, music blasting over any real conversations, people avoiding eye contact, cameras hidden in strange corners. "That wasn't security," 50 said coldly. "It was surveillance. They weren't protecting us, they were documenting us." As he made his way deeper into the mansion, the crowd thinned. Security presence grew. Diddy found him, whispered something that made his blood run cold. "I decide who makes it and who doesn't." "That's when it hit me," 50 continued. "This wasn't a party, it was a power play." From that moment on, he started recording, not to expose anyone, but to protect himself. Hidden mics, discreet gear, quiet preparation, for years. The judge asked, "Did you have consent?" "In New York, one party consent is legal. I was that party." Diddy's team cried foul, claimed it violated privacy. But the prosecution argued it exposed crimes. The judge agreed. 50 then revealed he'd turned over hundreds of hours of audio to authorities just months ago. After seeing that brutal footage of Diddy and Cassie, that confirmed everything I'd recorded. It wasn't random, it was a pattern. Then came the first tape, August 2003. Diddy's voice. "No one leaves until I say so. Do you understand?" A woman panicked. "Please, I just want to go home." Diddy, "You'll leave when I'm done. That's how this works." 50 identified it. A party after the 2003 MTV Awards. He was in the next room. The girl, a young model, desperate to get out. Next recording, 2007. Diddy, furious. "I own everyone here. I made you, and I can break you." 50 explained it was during a Bad Boy Records session. It wasn't just threats to careers. They were threats to lives. One by one, the recordings built a horrifying mosaic of manipulation. In 2012, Diddy's voice again. "Double security. Collect all the phones. Nobody leaves without signing. Special guests don't have a choice." The court grew more silent with every clip. Diddy began to sweat. His lawyer objected over and over. Overruled. Then the 2016 audio, weeks before the Cassie incident. "She's getting too free, thinks she's got to say. I need to remind her." Another man asked, "What will you do?" Diddy's reply, "Whatever it takes. She knows what happens to people who defy me." You could have heard a pin drop. 40 said he'd tried warning Cassie, tried going through friends, but Diddy kept her isolated. The prosecutor asked if he feared for his own life. Frey nodded. "I got a call. We know what you saw. Stay quiet if you value your future." Then came a package, a USB, footage from that night. 50's voice cracked. "I didn't even remember being there, but there I was, in the corner." Diddy's voice behind the camera. "Now I've got something on everyone." That's how he kept control. At that moment, Diddy clutched his chest, breathing shallow. His lawyer begged for a break. The judge granted it. But Diddy stood suddenly, wobbled, and collapsed. Panic, chaos. Medics flooded the courtroom. Diddy was pale, eyes closed, his past seemingly catching up with him. And this was just the beginning. I'd never felt fear like that, 50 admitted. I realized I hadn't been invited. I'd been baited, marked. From that night forward, he recorded everything connected to Diddy. Not for revenge, but to protect the people who couldn't fight back. This was never about one moment, he said. It was about a system. More recordings followed covering 2010 to 2020. Conversations about payoffs, cover-ups, intimidation. In one bone-chilling 2014 clip, Diddy sneered, "Money runs out, fame fades, real power. That's having dirt on everyone." This wasn't about success, 50 explained. It was about fear, paralyzing fear. He named names, big names, artists who stayed quiet, people who watched but didn't speak. Not because they were guilty, but because they were terrified. Diddy weaponized gifts, lavish generosity, then used it as leverage. He never had to say it out loud, 50 said. He just made sure we all knew what happened if you crossed him. Then the prosecution asked, why stay silent all these years? I needed proof no one could deny, he said. If it was just my word, I'd be destroyed. But that Cassie video, it showed the world what I'd been recording in private. He recounted the backlash. Music stopped playing. Collaborators ghosted him. He was labeled jealous, bitter. He smiled faintly. So I built outside the system, shows, brands, liquor, until I didn't need his approval to speak anymore. Then, a 2019 tape played. Diddy's voice? He thinks he's untouchable, but no one is. As I grew stronger, 50 said. He turned to easier targets, but he never let go of the fact that I stood up. That's when he picked up the phone and called the feds. I gave them everything, 10 years of it. He turned to the jury. I stayed silent, and that made me part of it, but now, I'm here to stop it. He reached into his jacket, pulled out a worn tape recorder. This was the first one I ever used, back in '03. My reminder, unchecked power ruins lives. Then he turned to Diddy, still pale, barely responsive. You said no one could stop you, 50 said, but the truth can. When he stepped down, the room was frozen. The prosecutor stepped forward with the final question. Mr. Jackson, is Sean Combs still a threat? 50 didn't hesitate. As long as he's protected, yes. Right then, Diddy rose again, wild-eyed, then collapsed a second time. The courtroom broke into chaos once more. Outside, a stunned crowd watched 50 Cent walk out. Applause broke out. He didn't react. A reporter called out, "Do you believe justice will be served?" He paused. "That's not for me to say. That's for the jury," then vanished into a waiting car. In the days that followed, everything changed. Diddy's deals dropped. Friends disappeared. Old clips resurfaced. And stories people once dismissed? Now, nobody was laughing. Legal experts agreed. The prosecution hadn't just uncovered isolated incidents. They'd exposed a system, a culture of fear and control. As the trial marched on, one question lingered. Who else would come forward, and what more lay hidden in the shadows? One recording can be denied, 10 years of them tell a story.